welcome everyone from Patreon. I think this is my first time to ever record from here in my office. And so I thought of that because I have this picture. Man, cameras are tricky. This picture here, painting actually. And I just thought of that because I saw it behind me here. And it's actually from about 7 or 8 years ago when I was a pastor. We decided to throw a party. It's my first experience really getting my hands into the community and trying to get my hands dirty, get connected. And so I was the pastor of Outreach, basically. I was called pastor of Serve. And so I was trying to really get connected and just decided to throw a party for our city, just to talk about ways that we could, as the church and as the community, the businesses, nonprofits, and the churches could all combine our powers and not become Captain Planet, but connect to support and serve those around us. And so we decided to just no strings attached, throw a party for the city with art galleries and areas for the kids and food and all kinds of stuff, as well as community discussions. And we brought nonprofits in to talk about different things. And anyway, it's funny how I would go to the clergy and a lot of the pastors would look at me like I was crazy after I got done describing it. Like, well, why would you do that? You know, what's in it for us? How does that help get people to the church or whatever? But the businesses and the nonprofits, they totally got it. So anyway, I'm always reminded of that because this was a painting I bought there as a reminder, and it's nice every time I come into my office for that. So, but that's not what I really wanted to talk about. I really wanted to talk about this idea of love. So I've been working on this book on truth. And the more and more I think about it, and the more and more I read, I'm convinced that to ask the question, is the Bible true, is just a bad question. I don't think that's the question. I don't see the Bible ever asking that question. I don't see it ever answering that question. Is the Bible true? I think it's much more interested in, do we, as people of faith, live truthfully? And I think it's also doing something that might be really uncomfortable for us. Because you see, in the modern world, we've been taken captive. We've idolized facts as though that's what truth is about. Truth is about facts. And, we got to keep up with science and all these things. We can't let the scientists sort of take over faith. So we got to sort of be neck and neck and keep up in that competition of facts. But I think when we do that, we start thinking that truth or belief is all about what we believe in our head. And so we interpret things like Paul's admonition that we tell the truth in love. And so for me, a lot of what that meant growing up was, in order to love well, you have to tell the truth. And usually the truth meant that you are sinful, that you are just a rotten son of a bitch. And if you can't do that, then you're not really loving. Regardless of whether you know the person or how much of a relationship you have, sort of it's our duty and our job, if we're going to truly be loving, to tell the truth. And truth is, give them the facts about their standing with God and make sure that they have the right beliefs mentally about these things, the right opinions about these things. But, the more I've been reading, I've been, John, the whole corpus of John, you kind of talk about the Gospel of John and then the epistles of John, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John. That whole group of books really does a number for me on my conception of truth. It starts to break things down in ways that are a little uncomfortable. So I've been reading 2 John. It's only one chapter, so I'm sure you as good church-going Christians have already memorized it when you were children, so you can just recall it in your mind's eye. But in 2 John verse 4, he has this interesting paragraph where he says, I have no greater joy than this, that my children are walking in the truth. So that's pretty spectacular to say anyway, that no greater joy than that my children are walking in the truth, that they are doing as the Father commanded them. So the Father commands, apparently, that we walk in truth. And then the next verse says, but don't worry, this isn't a new command. I'm not giving you any new commands. It's the same command that's always been there, which is to love one another. So he's connecting loving with with commands and walking in the truth. And then he goes to the next verse, which says, and this is what it means to love one another, to obey God's commands. And that's where my trigger point goes off. Says, see, that's where it is. That's where you can hook people. So he's saying loving is following all these commands, having the right beliefs. But then he flips it and ends that paragraph with saying, and what is the command but to walk in love? So he starts with saying the command is to walk in truth. He ends the paragraph with saying the command is to walk in love. And it seems to be that the writer here is saying that to walk in truth is to walk in love. Those are the same things, which sort of starts to fry my computer brain as I grew up thinking that truth and love were meant to be in tension, right? The loving thing would be just to go and love and embrace and accept and be a good listener and serve and give of my heart, give of my time, give of my energy and my resources, be present with people. And truth is given the the cold hard facts. And here John's really saying they're actually the same thing. So truth and love aren't in tension. In fact, truth is love, and love is truth. And how that all gets parsed out gets really tricky, and I think that's appropriate because truth and love are kind of like the pinnacle things of what it means to live a good life or live well or live wisely. And if we could just sort of parse it out in a minute or 5-minute video, it wouldn't, I think it would be a little trite. But it starts to break down. And then we even go back to John chapter 14, verse 6, where Jesus says something like, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Right? We always focus on that last part. No one comes to the Father except through me. I'm still stuck here at the beginning of the part where it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. What in the world does it mean for a person to be the truth? Again, my mind starts getting gunked up because I think of truth as propositions. Do you believe this fact about this person or about this thing? But the Bible doesn't seem to care that that's what we think because it doesn't fit those categories. It says that we walk in truth. So what does that mean? It says that truth is love, and it says that Jesus is truth. This person is the truth. And I genuinely have no idea what it means for a person to be the truth. I could think of facts about that person being true. All that to say, I think there's so much more going on here about truth in the Bible that we got to pay attention to. And we've, I think, made an idol of truth. We've made an idol of these facts, of these right beliefs that's kept us from, I think, fulfilling what the Bible's really talking about when it says that we should walk in the truth. I think it's more about how we embody and follow the example of Jesus than it is anything about the things that we believe in our heads. And that can be kind of scary because I think it unleashes all kinds of things. But I think that's exactly the risk that the life of faith is asking us to take. All right, we'll see you next time.